What's going on, team? Sean and Kayla Luke here, and we're excited to be with you. First, thank you, Vinny and Dana, and to the entire leadership for trusting us and giving us the time to share with the organization today. And for us, what we're going to be talking about in a few minutes is something that we've navigated really well and that we haven't navigated very well. It is our experiences and our opinions. So take that into consideration while you're listening. We're not saying you have to do any of these things. We're not saying that this is mandatory. It's just what we've found to work for us and for different people in our organization and what we've learned from some of the leadership that we have. And it's an incredible event that you already are plugging into because you're hearing from people that are in Emerald qualification like Julio, and you get to hear from Vinny and Dana and the entire Emerald leadership. It's cool to have Robert and Myra be sharing with you as well, and that's a part of our organization. And you know, that's a couple that what we're going to be talking about didn't let what we're going to be sharing with you stop them from growing. So thank you for listening. We're going to get right into this thing right now.
Yeah, and we really hope everyone has been enjoying the beginning of their summer. I know for Sean and I, we're big summer people. We love the warm weather and we love spending time at the beach and all the social gatherings really that come with the summertime. And in our 8 years of building the business together, we have really realized that the summertime, if not properly prepared for, can be a really big stumbling block for us. Because we're the types of people who we want to spend time with our families and we want to do all of those great things. And not to say that there isn't a balance of being able to do some of those things, but for a short period of time, we've made some sacrifices to be able to get towards our goals, to be able to achieve, our business goals. So.
Yeah, and I don't even know if I would say sacrifices so much. Things that we just had to put off to the side because I feel like when you sacrifice something, you can never get it back. So things that we're doing that, like in the season, if you want to call them sacrifices, or you're putting off to the side, you're doing that so you can have more of it later on.
Right.
So for us, we're going to, like with distractions or the pebble in your shoe, people think of it as the big things in life. They think of it as, the loss of a loved one, a sickness, a health issue that they're having. And those are all things that are very warranted, that will take you out for a season. But after, typically you appreciate this business and what you have your hands on even more, so you do more. Right? We're talking about the little things.
Yeah,
the little tiny things.
Absolutely. And when we talk about the pebble in your shoe, right, that Sean had just mentioned, I think of it as if you're taking a long walk or if you're a runner, and there's that small pebble that's in your shoe that maybe in the beginning you can ignore it and you can get around it, or you can manipulate the way that you run to circumvent the pain, the temporary pain that it might be causing. But once you get to mile 2, 3, 4, 5, and you haven't removed that pebble, you're in a lot of pain. And it prevents you from getting to where you want to go at the speed that you want to get there. And so another word that I think of to kind of define those smaller things is insidious. It's the small things that are woven within our everyday experiences. Maybe it's a bad attitude that you have that's distracting you. Maybe it's marital challenges. It's those small things that maybe we haven't been as good at identifying that is a distraction up until this point. But now that you have the outside perspective of your coaches, you can say, hey, wait a minute, let me take a step back. This is distracting me, and this is preventing me from getting to where I want to get to.
Yeah, and they're going to come. No matter what. You're not going to be able to get away from it. You're not going to be able to go anywhere else in the world to get away from it. If you think of athletes, like new rookies in organizations, in the NFL, MLB, wherever it may be, you see a lot of rookies slip up because they have friends that are still in an old mindset. They have friends that aren't doing what they're doing, and they just want to have fun. And they, kudos to them. They did all the work to get to where they are, but you end up seeing these rookies get into trouble because of a distraction. Sometimes that really ends their career. Sometimes it derails their career a little bit and takes them a little bit longer to get back on track. But whatever it is, it can cause an issue. And for us, we're not professional athletes. I definitely don't look like one, but we are professionals in this business. This is our professional vocation. Our athletic ability is in this business, right? So if we were to think of that and take that into consideration, why are we going to let these things jeopardize what our desired outcome is?
Right. And when you subside to distractions, it prevents your ability to set a proper example. I know that's huge in athletics. That's huge in this business. When you succumb to this distractions, whether good or bad, that removes your ability a lot of the time to be a proper role model, a proper example. And if we look at what the foundation of this business is built on, and you remove your influence, you remove the ability to be able to make an impact on the people on your team if you're making decisions that aren't in alignment with your goals and you're succumbing to those distractions.
Yeah. What are some things that people may come into contact on a weekly basis or a monthly basis in the summertime that they may not think are distractions?
Oh yeah, sure. It's maybe the spending a 1 hour after work at the happy hours a couple of days a week. Maybe it's the cousins and the sisters and the brothers and the aunts and uncles, baptisms and christenings and birthday parties and attending every one. Maybe it's somebody's wedding. Maybe it's the barbecues on the weekends, the casual get-togethers like that. Yeah. Things that maybe little by little, and I know that you've spoken to, in our team about this before, little by little, when looked at as one specific thing, it doesn't really seem like a big deal. But just like the Pebble and just like every mile that you walk on with it, it begins to add up. And all of a sudden, you're on a trajectory that's nowhere near where you wanted to get to because you allowed those distractions to dictate your journey as opposed to your focus.
Yeah. So if you're prioritizing this business,
yes,
you need to understand what the ramifications are or the consequences are for these things.
Right.
And these are things that we've personally experienced. And, give an example of a good distraction sometimes is your job, you lose your job, or you need to get a new job because it's super toxic. Okay, necessary. You need to get a new job. Maybe you're making no money, you want to get a pay increase, and you get that job. Perfect. That's great. We would definitely coach our team and walk through them in that season to see if it's the right decision for them. Give them what our thoughts are. We're never going to tell them what they have to do or what they should do. Just detaching from that situation like a coach. Like in the military, when you're able to detach, you have a different perspective than everybody else that's really in the thick of it. So detach, and you're able to talk to your coach about those things. But that's going to be something that if it's not executed properly, if you don't talk with your coach, that distraction, that good change in your life, which is a small distraction, will then turn to a big distraction, and you may lose a week, 2 weeks, 6 months of your business because you're not prioritizing. You haven't prioritized the path that you're going to go on as you implement this new thing into your life.
Yeah. I know that when we first started building our business together, you took a lot of time in your family to be able to spend time with them. Why don't you talk a little bit about what that looked like and identifying it and then hedging against it?
So my sister lives in Syracuse, and now she has 4 minions. They're all, anywhere from 5 to 10 years old now. But at the time, it was just Luke, it was Hunter, and Benny was just born once we started to date in 2014. And I would go up there once every 6 weeks or so because I wanted to hang out with my sister. It's my family. I wanted to be with her. I wanted to hang out with my brother-in-law. I wanted to hang out with my nephews. Even though they were just little munchkins, I still wanted to hang out with them and just be that fun uncle for them and just be a part of their life. And when we got in, the first year maybe, I didn't really see the big deal of going up there so often. Now, I didn't really have finances to do it anymore at that time because I didn't have a job and I was prioritizing this business. So I didn't go up every 6 weeks, but I still wanted to go up more often. Fast forward, my dad almost dies of a heart attack in December of 2015, and we're talking, and we're like, we have to go Q12 next year.
Yep.
We had nobody in our organization, like what you would think of now. It's like when I say nobody, we had great people in our organization. Jackie, who now is Moretta, was on our team. We had Megan Peck, who's now Megan Lieb, Darian Nicole Garay. It was us.
Yeah.
And there was like 1 or 2 other people there. And we didn't have the team. There was no reason for us to go Q12 next year. But that was our goal. That was our priority. So we talked to Anthony Callan, and we had a great conversation with them about that. So I had a phone call with my sister, and I told her, I said, hey, Danielle, 1, I love you. Like, first of all, I hope you know that. I told her, I said, I'm not going to be able to come up there. And she was like a little upset, but AKA a lot of upset because I told her we're not going to be going up there anymore this year. The only time that we're going to be able to go up there is when we're at an event in Syracuse, because at the time, our summer conference was in Syracuse, New York. So we'd get there early on a Friday morning. We wouldn't even go there the night before because we were building our business. We'd get there early Friday morning so that we could spend the morning with them before the Friday session kicked off. And then sometimes we stopped there afterwards on Sunday before we drove home back to Long Island. And she was very unhappy. She didn't know why, but I took the time to explain it to her, to paint the picture for her. And most of the time, these decisions that you're making, whether it's that barbecue, that christening, that whole list of stuff that you can go through, you're like, I want to do those things, though. And you can do those things. I mean, there's things that, like Kay said before, we prioritize and we're strategic with where we go and what we do, because we can't just say no to literally everything. That would be weird, right? And we want to still have, maintain those relationships with our family and some of our friends. And for us, when I had that conversation with my sister and all that stuff, it wasn't good, it wasn't fun. And some of you may be experiencing that with, like they said, that whole list of different distractions that may come up in your life, good or bad, like Kay said before. It could be good, could be bad, could be neutral. Whatever the case may be, is when you stand firm in what you believe in and you actually follow through on your commitment, your family will then be like, understand, or your friends will understand why you did this.
Yeah.
When we came off stage, when we did our platinum banquet, it may take a platinum banquet. Don't know when it's going to happen, but it will eventually happen. So when we came off stage, my dad gave me a hug and was in tears and said, "I'm so glad you didn't listen to me."
Yeah.
Then if you think about Anthony and Callan, I wasn't around the business at the time when they first started to build their business, and they were platinums and they were going emerald. But from what I know, Callan's parents weren't the most positive people about this business. Now they're super positive about this business and the ability to spend more time with them. And it takes a season for people to understand or see that big picture. My sister now sees that big picture.
Oh, definitely.
A few years ago, it was after our first year of Q12, my sister was having a party for my niece Autumn, and we weren't going to be there because that was a decision that we made. And again, this is all of our personal experiences. We made that decision, but she wanted to have a birthday party for Autumn, and and family was coming up from Long Island, and people from upstate New York were going there. And she didn't have enough money for the decorations, to finish the decorations that she wanted. So we just left money in a drawer. We drove away in the kitchen, and we got far enough away where she couldn't catch up to us, and we told her about it. She was in tears. And it's those things that you're able to do long term, or whether it's the financial things or it's the time you're able to spend with these people, that make it worth it. Because the only time you regret missing something is when you don't follow through in your goals and your commitment that you made here. And you said, okay, I can't go to this party, I can't go to this thing because I have to build my business. And then you end up not building your business, and so then you're upset that you didn't do this thing. But every time that you follow through and you accomplish your goal, the thing that you had put off to the side, you feel good about it. Not good necessarily that you missed it. Be like, okay, I accomplished my goal, I did what I needed to do. Because we wanted to be with the leadership. We wanted to be where, last Friday, what were they doing?
They were spending the day at Vinny and Dana's at the pool, hanging out, having fellowship, eating snacks, I'm sure, because Vinny and Dana are excellent hosts in that way.
Yeah, and last night, you're listening to this as a pre-recorded, but last night, all the Emeralds had an Emerald dinner hangout again last night.
Yeah.
That's where we want to be.
And yeah, I just to kind of reiterate, you're not able to get those things unless you're able to hedge against the distraction. So first step, like we've talked about, identifying. That tends to be the easier part. What in my life is a distraction by definition? Second, what are some of the practical things that I can do to hedge against them? And Sean kind of mentioned it with that conversation with his sister. We've always been very proud about what we've done. Since the day that we've started our business. Now, my situation is a little bit different. Obviously, my brother and sister-in-law are Anthony and Callan Spark, so they obviously knew that I was building an Amway business. But we made sure that our family knew that we had a business that we were committed to and that we were willing to, not even willing, but requiring us to prioritize this over the other things in our life. And by having those conversations and being proud and that everybody knew that this is what we were committing to and what was our priority, we were able to have the proper communication so that when things came up, either A, they were scheduled around our schedule and we had input into saying, hey, we want to do XYZ thing. We know that you have meetings sometimes. When can we do it so that you can attend? Or B, they already have the understanding that, hey, there's going to be some things that we just can't attend. Not everything can be scheduled based on us, but sometimes if it's not, we're just unable to attend simply.
Share the story about John and Patty's wedding.
Yeah, I mean, John and Patty had John is Sean's brother.
Yeah, it's my brother.
So my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, but they had a wedding, a destination wedding in Mexico, and they had actually come to us and asked us what week within the few months that they were looking at would work best so that we could avoid missing anything. And that comes from the pride that we have in our business. It comes from always having prioritized this over other things and not backing down in our goals.
Yeah, and when he asked us that, it wasn't like, oh, what week can you do because you build an Amway business and we have to go around you. No, he knows that we believe in this and that this is important in our life, and he's seen the impact that it's made there. And it's from growing this business, it's also helped my relationship with my brother.
Right.
So to have my little hermano, my little bro, come up to me and say that, ask us that question meant the world to me, because that means he appreciated it and he respected it.
Yep.
And then by doing those things and building our finances, not letting the other distractions stop us from what we're doing, just a few weeks ago, for the first time, I've known my brother now for 32 years. I'm 34, he's 32. He's never asked me for financial advice. He's texted me, called me, blowing me up about, you use the snowball, you do all, I said, and I was able to have a conversation with him about it. But that's because I prioritize this business, and we push things off that we wanted to do in the future, but push things off now to do it more in the future, that he was able to come to me and ask me these questions because we just stood true and strong in our beliefs.
Right. And it just to reiterate, it comes down to proper communication. We believe in taking extreme ownership over the things that are happening in your life. And so by doing that, it allows us to put ourselves in a position of strength to say, okay, we have a finite amount of time here. We have these goals that we want to achieve in a certain period of time, and how can we best get there? Now, I want to encourage the new people that typically when you first make the commitment to make this happen and to start your business, that's when you're going to be faced with the most amount of distractions. For whatever reason, we've just seen in our experience in our 8 years of building this business that you get the most amount of tension when you first join. And you're getting tested to make sure that the decision that you made is something that you're going to follow through in.
Just on that, as you're saying that, it made me think of, like, it's most likely because most people don't have something that they had prioritized in their life where it was unwavering. So that's why it feels like all these things have always happened in your life, and that's how you got into this current position, current situation, or why you may be looking for something else in your life.
Right.
But now that you're prioritizing this, and this just came up as you were saying that, it's probably because you've identified a goal bigger than yourself, a bigger mission for yourself, that these are coming up more frequently.
Right.
And
so yeah, I mean, just have boundaries. Understand what's most important and what's less important. Understand those things. And just in closing, I want to encourage everybody, if you're having issues with feeling like, okay, well, I'm not willing to prioritize, or I don't want to, do some self-exploration. Work with your coach, whomever is mentoring you, and try to uncover why it is that you don't feel as though you're willing to prioritize. Maybe it's a fear of success. Maybe it's you feel that you can't make this happen. Whatever the reason is, do some exploratory work and figure out what is holding me back from being willing to put myself in a position to prioritize this. Why don't I get joy and fulfillment out of it? And not to say that all of the hard decisions that Sean and I have made to avoid those distractions have been easy. By definition, a lot of those decisions aren't easy. But just because something isn't easy doesn't mean that that's the right choice. I'm sorry, the wrong choice. Yes, just because something is hard doesn't mean that that's the wrong choice. It can very much be the right choice and still be a hard decision to make.
Yeah, and if you're thinking and you're new, and we've been there, like I said, we've been there, you're like, oh, I don't have a team yet. Or maybe you've been in the business for a few years and you don't have an organization yet. That's okay. But when you think about this, you're like, oh, well, this doesn't really apply to me. No, it applies to you probably even more, right? Because we talked about the example before. But if you're thinking like, okay, I don't have a team yet, so I could do more of these things, I could do this or that and the other thing, those are the things that will prevent you from having a team sooner. You want to be able to have, stand on the ground that, hey, I did this to get here, so when people launch in your organization, you are that example. And just like Kay said, extreme ownership, you need to prioritize and execute. You got to find a priority, you got to have a conversation with your coach, you got to be willing to have that conversation with your friends and family to let them know, give them the heads up. Just don't keep saying, no, I can't do this. Tell them why and explain what that means to you.
Right.
And then from that, it's just executing that game plan. And it's doing those things day in and day out, to have this leadership in our life, to have Anthony and Callan, Spark, being there, a full steam ahead. And it's gonna be a wild ride. And thank you all. Because without a team like this, without a movement, we wouldn't be able to accomplish all of our goals.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
This is a copyrighted program of The Collective, powered by Markham Productions, affiliated with Marknet Incorporated. Duplication of this program is strictly prohibited. While the techniques and approaches suggested have worked for others, no one can guarantee that these techniques and approaches will work for you. In addition, we want to emphasize that success in this business does not come without hard work. For existing